99% of men fail with women before they even lay a hand on her. And the reason is simple. They act like amateurs, like barbarians trying to break down the door to a treasure vault, not understanding it's protected by a highly complex 7-part combination lock. They push, they rush, and they think force is a sign of an alpha male. But every time they hit a cold wall of polite rejection, they don't understand the most important thing. A woman's attraction, her desire, her body, it isn't a door you can break down. It's a safe, a high security vault. And this vault has 7 locks. Each subsequent lock is designed to be completely unopenable until the key has been turned in the previous one. If you skip a single step, the entire system locks down. And today, we are going to dismantle this entire system. I'm not going to give you superficial advice. That's for amateurs. Instead, I will hand you a set of 7 master keys. Each key is a psychological tool engineered to sequentially disable a specific level of her internal resistance, mental, emotional, and instinctual. This knowledge is dangerous because it operates on a subconscious level, bypassing the filters of logic. The direct path to a person's true motivations is almost always closed. You need to know the side paths. You need to have the keys. And today, you will get them. But I have to warn you, this sequence only works as a whole. If you only master half the keys, you risk ruining everything at the last moment. So before we begin, I ask you to do 2 things. First, hit the like button on this video. Consider it the cost of admission. Second, if you're new here and ready for true mastery, subscribe right now. This is not a channel for boys. It's a community for men who are serious about understanding the world. Now, let's open the first lock, key 1, the key to her mind. The first lock in your way is the most powerful. The most armored, it is her mind, her critical thinking, her social conditioning, her past negative experiences. All of it is screaming in her ear. Be careful. He only wants one thing. Until you open this lock, any further action you take will be perceived as aggression or manipulation. Most men make the same fatal mistake right here. They try to open this lock with the most primitive key A compliment about her appearance. They say, "You have beautiful eyes," or "You have an amazing body." And what do they get in return? At best, a polite, cold smile. Because a high-value woman has heard this 1,000 times. It's white noise. It carries 0 information, except one signal: I am evaluating you as an object. Such a compliment doesn't elevate her. It doesn't create a connection. It only emphasizes the distance between the hunter and his target. The master understands that the key to her mind lies on a completely different plane. It is the intellectual compliment. This is praise not for her physical attributes, but for what is the result of her own work on herself, her way of thinking, her mind. What is an intellectual compliment in practice? It is an act of active listening. Imagine this situation. In a conversation, she expresses an unconventional thought. The amateur is too busy thinking about what he's going to say next to even notice. The master will pause. He will look at her, truly see her, and say a phrase built on the "I love how you" formula. For example, "I love how your mind just connected those 2 things." Most people think in straight lines, but you see the unobvious links, or the way you just described that situation. It completely changes my own perspective on it. Thank you for that. At that moment, on an invisible psychological level, real magic happens. First, you instantly leave the category of just another suitor and move into the rare category of someone who actually sees and hears me. Second, you disable her main defense mechanism. The "he just wants my body" alarm goes silent. because you are demonstrating interest in her brain. Third, you set a completely different tone for the conversation, raising the bar from primitive flirting to a dialogue between two equal, interesting people. This is disarming. It's intriguing, and it makes her subconsciously drawn to you. Thus, the first key is inserted and turned. You've hacked her primary security system. You've shown that you are not a burglar. But an expert appraiser, you have gained access to her attention, her trust, and her genuine interest. The door to her mind has swung open. The key to her ego. If a woman's mind is the armored outer wall, then her ego is the guard at the gate. Even if you've passed the first line of defense, this guard will test you. His job is to filter out the weak, the unworthy, and those who have come to worship. 9 out of 10 men fail this test. They get past the first lock and immediately act like supplicants. They shower her with compliments, agree with her every word, and place her on a pedestal. They think they are buying her affection, but in reality, they are just confirming their low status. A woman is instinctively not attracted to someone who is of a lower rank than her. She doesn't need another fan. She needs an equal or someone slightly above. This is precisely why the second key exists. The key to the ego, it is the art of light provocation. Its goal is not to offend. It is to throw her off balance, to gently knock the crown off her head, and to make her see you not as another faceless admirer, but as an interesting, self-sufficient, and challenging individual. A light provocation is a phrase that subtly combines a compliment and a challenge, a plus and a minus. It's a verbal nudge that forces her ego to wake up and ask, who is this guy to talk to me like that? What does this look like in practice? Imagine she's displaying a princess-like attitude. An amateur will get jealous or start admiring her. The master, however, will lean back, smile with a slight smirk, and say, you must be used to having all men just fall at your feet. That must be terribly boring. See what's happening. The first part, all men at your feet, is a compliment. But the second part, it must be terribly boring, is a challenge. It devalues her world, while implying that your world is much more interesting. Or another example, she displays a cute but childish character trait. Instead of fawning over it, you say with warm irony, there's a bit of a spoiled child in you. Isn't there? It's both charming and completely unbearable at the same time. Again, a plus and a minus. You're not judging, but you're not worshiping. Either you are observing from a position of an equal. This pulls her out of her comfort zone. She's used to men either blindly adoring her or angrily criticizing her. Your position is new, and anything incomprehensible is intriguing. The main secret here is calibration. It must be said with a light smile. Without anger, your tone should say, I see your game, but I'm not playing it by your rules. This instantly shifts the power dynamic. You cease to be an object she evaluates. You become a subject whose approval now needs to be earned. Her subconscious receives a powerful signal. He's not like the others. He's not trying to please me. Maybe I need to please him. And at that moment, the second lock clicks open. The mistake many make is to slide into outright rudeness. Remember, your goal is not to offend, but to intrigue. By turning this key, you gain her focused, undivided attention. She starts analyzing you. You become a puzzle for her. And while her conscious mind is busy with this task, her subconscious is already taking the next step toward you. You have passed the guard at the gate. Key 3, the key to her imagination. You've opened her mind. You've opened her ego. Now you have reached the third lock. This is the most subtle and magical lock of all. This is the lock to her imagination. Up to this point, your interaction has been logical. Now, your task is to shift it to the level of pure sensation. You must make her body experience something that isn't actually happening yet. You must start to caress her with your words. This key is called verbal kinesthetics. It is the art of using words that evoke physical, bodily sensations in her brain. Our brain doesn't always distinguish between a real experience and a vividly imagined one. If I say cold, sour lemon, your mouth just produced saliva. The amateur talks in abstracts. The master uses this mechanism consciously to begin foreplay long before the first touch. How does it work? You do not talk about sex. You simply weave stories into your conversation that are filled with sensory details. You use hot and cold words, words that describe texture, temperature, and touch. For example, instead of just saying, I was at the beach once, you tell the story differently. I remember this one time, I was lying on the beach late in the evening. The sand under my back was still incredibly warm, almost hot, but the wind from the sea was already cool. And I could just feel the goosebumps run down my skin from that contrast. What did you just do? You didn't say a word about her, but her body just experienced a whole range of sensations. The warmth of the sand, the coolness of the wind, goosebumps on her skin. Her body has begun to wake up. You have made her imagination work for you. You are painting pictures in her mind that she doesn't just see, she feels. Or another example, you're talking about coffee. An amateur will say, I like coffee. A master will say, I love that moment when you hold a hot, heavy ceramic mug in your hands. You feel that rich aroma. You take the first scorching sip, and this wave of warmth just spreads through your entire body. Again, not words, sensations. A hot mug, its weight, the aroma. A wave of warmth. You are talking about coffee, but you are actually tuning her body to a specific frequency, priming her nervous system for physical signals. The more such sensory anchors you place in her mind, the more prepared her body will be for real touch. When you later actually touch her hand, her nervous system will already be warmed up. Your touch won't be a shock. It will be the logical continuation of what was already happening in her imagination. The main mistake here is to be too direct. You don't say, imagine my hands touching your skin. That's crude. Your task is to be an artist, not a butcher. You create an atmosphere. You talk about travel, food, or art, but you do it in the language of the body. This is the highest form of skill. You are seducing her without ever hinting at seduction. And when her imagination is completely under your control, the third lock opens by itself. Stop for a moment. Just feel the power of that. We are only at key 3. And you are already learning a level of psychology that 99% of men will never know. This is the kind of deep, actionable knowledge we provide in every video. If you are serious about your own transformation, if you are ready to become a master, then I suggest you do one thing. Subscribe to this channel, hit that button now. Don't miss a single key. Key 4, the key to her boundaries. Her mind is open. Her ego is intrigued. Her imagination is warmed up. You have created the perfect conditions to move from words to actions. But it is at this very stage that most men fail. Again, they make a sudden, clumsy leap. They try to kiss or hug her and are instantly met with a cold. Don't. Why? Because they miss the most crucial 4th key. The key to her personal boundaries. Before you can enter her intimate territory, You need to get unspoken permission. You need to normalize physical contact, making it feel natural, safe, and non-threatening. This key is the art of the non-sexual touch. It is a short, confident, and socially acceptable touch that serves three vital functions. It normalizes contact, it tests her reaction, and it breaks down the invisible barrier between you. What is a non-sexual touch? It is not a caress. It is a functional, fleeting touch. A classic example, you let her go through a doorway first. As she passes, you place your hand for a split second on the small of her back to guide her. Your hand is firm, but not pushy. It guides, it doesn't grab. You remove your hand as soon as the action is complete. You don't linger. You do it as if it's the most natural thing in the world. Or another option, during a conversation, she says something funny. You laugh. And as you do, you lightly, for just a moment, touch her forearm. Again, the touch is brief and light. It serves to reinforce an emotional connection, not as a sexual hint. Another example, you say, "Look at that," and gently turn her by the shoulder. All these actions have one thing in common. They have a logical, non-sexual justification. You're not making a move. What happens in her brain at this moment? If she doesn't pull away, her subconscious marks a checkbox. His touch is safe. I can trust him. Every such touch is a small test, a calibration. You send a signal and watch the response. If the response is positive, she remains relaxed, you are on the right track. If she tenses up or pulls away, that is also invaluable information. It is not a rejection, it is a signal too soon. In this case, a master doesn't apologize or get awkward. He simply removes his hand as if nothing happened and continues the conversation. He calibrates, feels for the boundary, and gradually dissolves it. The key to boundaries is a dance. You are getting her nervous system accustomed to your presence, to your energy. And when she stops noticing these fleeting, non-sexual touch, when her body accepts them as a given, it means the fourth lock is open. You have received unspoken permission to enter her personal space. You are no longer a stranger. You are an insider, and this opens up entirely new possibilities. Key 5, the key to her instincts. This is the turning point. Until now, you've been operating within the social norm. You were an interesting, confident, tactile, but still safe man. Now, it's time to show that behind the mask of a gentleman, there is something more. It's time to awaken her instincts. The fifth key is the art of touching the forbidden zones. This is what instantly separates the master from the amateur. An amateur, having gained access to touch, immediately reaches for the obvious spots. The waist, the hips. His actions are predictable and clumsy. He acts like a hungry man. A master understands that true arousal is born not from directness, but from suggestion. From the forbidden, he knows there are spots on a woman's body that are not direct erogenous zones. But touching them evokes a much more powerful psychological and physical response because they are associated with vulnerability and trust. What are these zones? The first is the back of the neck, right at the hairline. This is an incredibly vulnerable and sensitive area. A light, fleeting touch to this zone. For example, when you help her adjust her collar, sends a powerful, primal signal of trust and intimacy to her brain. It's an almost animalistic gesture of grooming. Her conscious mind doesn't have time to defend, but her body has already reacted. The second zone is the inner forearm. From the wrist to the elbow, the skin there is delicate and sensitive. In everyday life, it's rarely touched. When, during a conversation, you lightly run your fingertips along the inside of her arm instead of her shoulder, the effect will be 10 times stronger. This gesture is subconsciously perceived as a deeper penetration into her space. The third zone, the highest level of skill, the hollow behind the knee. This is one of the most ticklish and vulnerable parts of the body. To touch it intentionally is absurd, but the master creates a situation where such a touch appears accidental. For example, you are sitting next to each other. As you shift your position, your leg accidentally touches hers for a split second. Right in that spot, her reaction will tell you everything. A soft gasp, a shiver, goosebumps. This is a signal that her body is fully, completely awake, and it is ready for more. The point of this key is not the touches themselves, but what you demonstrate. You show that you know the secrets of her body, secrets she might not even have known herself. This instantly elevates you to the rank of expert, a connoisseur. In her eyes, you become a man who understands women on a deep, instinctual, almost forbidden level. And that is incredibly arousing. She starts to think, if he can feel me like this now, what will happen next? By turning the fifth key, you've lit the fuse. You have shifted your interaction from warm to hot. You are no longer just an interesting conversationalist. You are an object of desire. Her body begins to send signals back. Her pupils will be dilated. Her breathing will become a little deeper. She is ready, and it is crucial not to miss the moment for the next step. Key 6, the key to her desire. All the previous steps were preparation, a long, intricate foreplay. You've built trust. You've sparked intrigue. You've awakened her body. Now you are on the threshold. She is giving you all the non-verbal signals of her readiness. A long gaze into your eyes, then at your lips, then back, the closing of distance. And at this moment, 99% of the men who made it this far make the final, most humiliating, attraction-killing mistake. They ask for permission. They look into her eyes and utter the most passion-killing phrase imaginable. Can I kiss you? In that instant, all the magic you have so carefully built crumbles. From a confident master, a connoisseur, you turn into an insecure, validation-seeking boy. You shift all the responsibility onto her. You force her logical mind, key 1, to reactivate. You force her to make a conscious choice, say yes and feel easy, or say no and feel awkward. Either way, you've lost, because at this stage, a woman instinctively does not want to make a decision. She wants a decision to be made for her. She wants to submit to a force that she trusts. She wants to be led. The sixth key is the key to her hidden desire to be led. To be taken, it is the art of a direct, but not vulgar, command. When you see her nonverbal signals, when the air is thick with tension, you stop hinting, you stop asking. You take on the role of the leader. You pause, you look her directly in the eyes, and in a quiet, low, unshakably confident voice, you say just 2 words, a phrase that carries not a request, but a statement of fact. Come here. This is not an order. It is the calm, absolute confidence of a man who knows what he wants. And who knows what she wants? There is no question in this phrase. There is no doubt. There is only an invitation that is impossible to resist. because it aligns with her own inner, unspoken desire. By saying this phrase, you remove all responsibility from her. She didn't agree, she complied. This allows her inner good girl programming to fall silent. Now she can allow herself anything, because the initiative was not hers. This moment is the culmination of all your work. It is the transition from game to reality. It's not just the phrase that matters, but what happens next. After you've said, "Come here," you don't wait. You yourself take the final step, closing the last inch of distance. You take her face in your hands and you kiss her, gently but firmly, without fuss, without haste. You show that you are in complete control. You are the director of this scene. This key definitively establishes your dominant role, not dominant in the sense of suppression, but in the sense of leadership and responsibility. You are the one who leads. You are the one she can follow without fear. And when a woman feels this confident strength, her last barriers crumble. She no longer analyzes. She doesn't think. She feels. The lock to her hidden desires is open, and you are standing before the last, most important door. Key 7, the master key, her surrender. You are at the goal. All 6 locks are open. She trusts you, respects you, and desires you. She is ready to give you everything. And right here, one step away from triumph. The true master does what sets him apart from everyone else. He pauses. He doesn't rush to take what is already being offered. He doesn't act like a starving man. Instead, he uses the 7th, the final, the master key, the key that opens not just her body, it opens her soul. This key is selfless service. What does this mean before you seek your own pleasure? You focus completely, 100%, on hers. You show her that this entire journey was undertaken not out of a selfish desire to possess her, but out of a desire to give her a pleasure she may have never experienced before. This is the final act that changes the rules. You were the leader. Now, you become the generous king. In practice, this means you postpone your own gratification. You use the single most powerful tool in a man's arsenal. You go down to the source of her pleasure. You use your mouth, not as a quick prelude, not as an obligation. You use it as the main event. You become an explorer of her body. You are in no hurry. You watch her reactions. You listen to her breathing. Your only goal at this moment is her peak, her oblivion, her complete loss of control. Why does this key possess such devastating, permanent power? For several reasons. First, it is the absolute, final destruction of every woman's deepest fear. He's just using me for his own pleasure. When a man is willing to spend time and energy on her pleasure, asking for nothing in return, it proves his value better than any words. It speaks of his generosity and self-confidence. Second, it is the most powerful psychological anchor you can create. The pleasure she receives from you in this way will be associated specifically with you. You become not just another lover, you become the one who opened new horizons of pleasure for her. This creates the deepest emotional and physical bond. And third, it changes the power dynamics on the deepest primal level. By surrendering to her pleasure, you actually gain absolute power. After she loses control in your hands, after you give her that peak, she will be ready for anything. Her gratitude, her admiration, her raw, animalistic desire to reciprocate will be limitless. She won't just have sex with you. She will give herself to you completely, With the burning desire to give you even greater pleasure in return, you give first, so you can receive 100-fold later. This is the final secret. Her pleasure is not a door to be broken down by force. It is a safe that opens with the final key of generosity. When you understand this, you will cease to be a supplicant. You will become a giver, and he who gives pleasure always receives adoration and complete, total surrender in return. Conclusion: the art of the master keyholder. So we have walked the entire path, 7 keys, 7 steps from complete indifference to absolute trust and total desire. Let's look at this map one more time. You started with her mind, showing you see her as a person. Then you touched her ego, establishing yourself as an equal. You ignited her imagination with words. You carefully crossed her boundaries, making touch feel natural. You awakened her instincts, revealing yourself as a connoisseur. You took the lead at the crucial moment. And in the finale, you gave her pleasure, asking for nothing in return, and received everything. As you can see, there is no place for brute force, vulgarity, or manipulation in this system. It is an art, a science. It is based on a deep understanding of female psychology, on respect, and on skill. The great explorers were right. Behind the facade of our social lives lie oceans of unconscious desires. To reach these treasures, you need a masterfully crafted ship. And you have just received its blueprints. You are no longer a barbarian, hoping for luck. You have become a master keyholder who opens a woman not with force, but with art. And now, the main question for you: for the wisdom of this community, I have shared my vision, but the best teacher is experience. Think back. What is the main, most valuable piece of advice about the psychology of women that you would give to your younger self? If you could send him a single message back in time, write that advice in the comments below. Let's create not just comments, but a true anthology of masculine wisdom. Thank you for your time.